Oh, welcome back, everybody. Here with my good friend Mike Ponte. So we've covered an awful lot.
Yep.
Where you found your investors, how you qualify your investors, how you present to your investors, how you administer, how you make money as a real estate entrepreneur as well. Do you do any flipping? Any of that kind of stuff?
Not so much. We've done stuff where we've sold some of the properties, obviously fix it up, obviously to sell it. But most of the stuff that we do is buy and hold.
Have you sold anything yet?
Yeah, we've sold quite a few stuff actually. We've sold some of our apartment buildings just before the latest recessions. We kind of saw some things in our past experience. When we saw 2008, 2009, we saw this little dip. We saw a little issue in the horizon, I would say. And so at that point in time, we kind of revisited our portfolio and made some decisions. What are we selling?
Yep.
What are we refinancing?
Yep.
And so we were in a mad rush to kind of get a lot of that stuff done. Sold a couple of our apartment buildings at absolute peak just by coincidence. And we did really well on those, very happy. And again,
some might say luck, but some might say astute business planning.
I'm going to go with the first one.
Okay.
but the reality is, in this business, you just don't always know what's going to happen. Yeah. And you looked at the 2008, 2009 recession and we're kind of expecting for a significant hit. Mm-hmm. And then with this one here, I don't think anybody expected it to be to the level that it was.
Yep.
And again, specifically Alberta. But the reality is it was significantly longer than what I think most people had anticipated. And, fortunately, we did some of the right things, I think, at the very beginning or during that time when we saw some troubles arise. So, but at the same time, some of them didn't always work out to the same level as well. So, we had vacancies and all that stuff. So,
Treating this thing like a business.
It's a business. That's what it is. You can have ups and downs. That's the way it is.
And that's why your business background has really been beneficial to you. So everybody has a different background. But would you agree that more important than all of the capital you've raised or the apartments you've bought or anything like that, would you think it's maybe the skill sets that you've learned and the person you've become has been probably the most important?
No question, 100%. And I think the important thing is, first of all, you gotta have the drive and the desire, and you gotta have some clarity on what is it that you want to do. And you may not have all that skill set to begin with. And part of it is you just need to get the knowledge. And for me, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I look at my first property that I bought. When I bought it, I knew I was going to lose $40 a month. Number's still there. $40 a month. I'm going to lose it. I still own that property today, my very first property, and now it's generating me somewhere in the area around $650, $700 a month cash flow. Right? So but it's not to say that I was successful because I was so brilliant. It was an absolute fluke, right?
Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
It is, but I think.
But you still pulled the trigger.
We still pulled the trigger,
absolutely.
And you kind of learn as you go along. And be it raising capital or finding deals or investing in versus residential and multifamily, the education just never stops. Yeah. And even though I've been doing this for a long time, I'm still learning about raising capital. I'm still learning about finding tenants and managing my day-to-day operations. It's constantly an evolution, but one of the key components is you need to continue to learn always.
Yeah. So. Well, it's funny. Maybe our age is just starting to show. We used to be the young crowd,
sure.
Right now we're the ones that we're not the veterans either yet, but we're kind of in that getting to that transition. And there's so many things that we've learned over the years. And there's actually a new young crowd, brand new people just getting into this whole business. And that's one of the that's one of the reasons and things that I'm doing with this interview series is to share the stories.
Yeah.
Is to share the Mike Pontes, the people that you might not know who some of these people are. You just fly under the radar. Family's number one. It's important that lifestyle is your number one, taking care of your properties. So before my next question, where can people get a hold of you if they need to follow Mike Ponte and follow his empire building?
Yeah, so I guess first of all, you go to our website, prosperityinvestments.ca. That's kind of our website that's there. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Prosperity Real Estate Investments. We are very active in both sides of that part of the business. If you need to reach me as well on another level, you can also call me 604-518-0662. Always happy to answer questions.
One more time slower.
Sorry.
Phone number.
Phone number 604
Yeah.
518 0662. Again, 604 518 0662. Website prosperityinvestments.ca.
Nice. And I'll tell you, I cherish every time we have a chance to have a lunch and a
Likewise.
conversation. And you're a firm believer in masterminding,
Yes.
in working and having people hold you accountable to things as well.
Very much so.
What advice would you give? So 16 years in.
Yeah.
How old are you now, if you want to say?
In the early 40s.
Early
How does that
40s.
sound? Yeah.
So you're late 20s when you started.
Yeah.
Right. Late. So
Correct.
what if late 20s Mike Ponte was sitting here? What advice would you give him?
Give myself back then.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a great
16
question.
years ago.
Okay. Well, I think the big part for myself when I first got started, and I'm really referencing some of the stuff that's happened over the last maybe 10 years, really,
Yeah.
is, when I first got started into some of my deals, I wasn't as proficient in the reserve funds. And I think the big key that I can maybe share with a lot of people that are just getting started is don't try to limit the amount of capital that you're needing for your particular project.
Right.
Ask for it up front. It's really, really important because in the lean times, it really provides that support. And my comment that I referenced earlier is understand worst case scenario and doubling it. That's not something that I attributed to 16 years ago.
Yeah.
This is something that has been learned 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep.
And it's a new rule. And the reason for that is because of some of the experiences that we've had at the very beginning. So, from that perspective, if I went to start all over again, that would be one key element that I would have put into place.
Save during the good times, spend
Yes,
during the bad times.
Correct.
Right?
It's the truth.
Right, yeah.
And I think the second part to myself, when you're looking to raise capital, don't shortchange your worth in regards to the income side. So, today we talked about how the business is currently run and how we're making money and how our business is operational. And, it wasn't like that back then. No. When I first got started, just to try to find a joint venture, and for those of you that are getting started, you become squeamish and you're going to be talking to friends and family and they're going to challenge you in regards to, you're making 50% of the cash flow, but you're putting nothing into that. I can't tell you how many discussions I've had back then, right? Yeah. But it's, and then you say, you know what, I'll accept that. You can take 100% of the cash flow and I will just take a cut at the very end. You've just devalued yourself significantly. And if you do multiple deals, that same arrangement will occur. And trust me, it's an alligator that's just going to eat away at you because you're earning nothing, but you're working and working and working, and it's not providing this in return. And if your goal is to be a full-time investor, you're never going to do that by constantly giving away some of the proceeds that you should be earning right away. So my recommendation is, I can understand if you're just getting started and you're just trying to get your feet wet and you're giving away your cash flow side. But my real comment is you really want to limit that right from the very beginning and learn to accept and learn to accept that you are worth something. And it should start from the very, very beginning.
Yeah, and that comes down, that's a lot of deep interpersonal work too.
Yeah.
And it really stems down to, and trust me, it was the biggest thing I had to overcome. And it comes down to a low self-worth.
Yeah,
and feeling, and it's a feeling of that you're not worthy of the investment until you actually go through the process. And here's the exercise I get everybody to do is take 2 months, especially if you have a portfolio, take 2 months and write down everything you do. Write down all the details you do and all the pain in the butt things and this and that and the other. And now you've got this long laundry list of things you do. And you look at that and go, geez, that's worth something.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. 2 things happen. Number one is you now have something you can present and pitch to somebody.
Yeah.
And the other is you actually will look at that, go, geez, and I only want 25% of the deal? No way, I'm giving away too much.
Yeah,
right?
Agreed. Like for me, it was it was my first few deals that I started, and it was mostly family to begin with.
Yep.
But trust me, I learned very, very quickly not to do that anymore, and then I just nipped that right in the bud pretty quickly. But for those of you just getting started, it's easy to go down that road. And to your point is giving away some of the equity piece, and then no cash flow, and then all of a sudden you're working for 5 years. And I still got transactions. I've still got partners that I'm working for free because of a relationship and an agreement that I've had back then, right?
And they still complain.
Sure they will.
Right? They actually, if things don't go the way that they want to go, they'll actually complain. And you go, well, I don't know what more I can do. I work for free.
Correct. That's correct. So it's one of those things. But like I said, don't minimize your worth. And it's really, really important that you start that right from the beginning. And it may take a little bit of time, a little bit of knowledge. And sometimes, as you mentioned before, is talking to other people really help. And if you're dealing with objections that you can't necessarily answer, reach out to people, be it Russell or even myself if you want, and ask questions. And like I said, everybody's gone through this. It's how you deal with it and how you deal with those objections in a proper way. So.
Yeah, and that's one of my goals of this whole academy is actually building something more than just an online education program. It's actually building a community.
Very much.
It's building a support network.
Yeah.
You have enrollment in the Academy for Life. Anybody who does any of these interviews, they get enrollment for life into the Academy.
Right.
So you're part of the program as well. And just reaching out to those people, because I don't know how many times when pardon the graphicness of this, when the poop hits the fan is one thing, but when the poop goes through the fan, it makes a mess.
Bigger mess.
Right?
Yes.
It makes a much bigger mess. And during that cleanup is when you need to have good friends that you can talk to, having a support network, having that mastermind. And you have multiple different masterminds you belong to.
I've got lots. And see, the one thing that I think is really important too is, Russ and I have both been in the investing world for years. And I deal with lots of other different investors focusing on maybe the same type of criteria properties that I'm involved with. But I don't look at any of us as competition. And we're all, and that tends to sometimes be in the industry mentally, and it might be all of us. But the reality is we're there to support each other at the end of the day. There's nothing worse than hearing a story that somebody's struggling with something, and you want to do everything you possibly can to help out. And if it's advice or contacts or some support, we're all in this together, and we're all here to help each other. And if there's a situation that you've yet to come across, and you reach out to people and you say, I'm in this situation, I may just say, I was just in that situation about a year ago, do this. Trust me, you'll save thousands of dollars in that. And it's always great to have that support behind you. So.
And one thing you will find in this whole game too is it's not just the real estate investing, it's the person you become, it's the skill set, it's becoming a high performer.
For sure.
And Mike, you shared something that was incredibly inspiring. You were coming up to a milestone birthday upcoming, wasn't it? And you said to yourself, and you looked in the mirror and you go, I'm just not liking what I'm seeing. I want to be in my best shape ever when you turned 40.
That's correct.
Because it was 40, wasn't
40
it?
years, yeah.
And you actually then became a competitive bodybuilder, right? So talk about that discipline to do that.
Well, I think for myself back then it was looking for a goal, something a little bit different. And we always talk about the investing world and stuff like that. And part of it is I was enthralled in my business. And I let myself go, and I started to lose a little bit about myself. And so for me, I was in really bad shape. And secondly, I was not necessarily happy. I was really very just in a tough spot. And I needed to, and really what it was is I needed something completely different. And so for me, as growing up, I've always wanted to, I was in personal training altogether. So I just wanted to get in the best shape of my life when I turned 40, and I hired a coach. And again, I didn't really know what I was doing, right? So you hire the people that help you become successful. And I hired a coach, and she was a competitive, super competitor in the bodybuilding world, and actually a really good friend from high school, actually. So she helped me train, and I had no intention actually to compete until I got to a point, and she's like, you need to compete. And so I said, well, there's got to be an objective to everything that you're constantly doing. Said, I'm going to do it. And so we went out on stage and came third in the regionals, and then came third again in the provincial side of things. So it was a great time.
And it wasn't sorry for the bad term.
It's okay.
It wasn't the banana hammock.
No banana hammock. It was swimsuit shorts. Or else I would never hear the end of it from my friends and other people, right? So that was part of the stipulation, right?
Yes.
So,
but I've seen the pictures, and it was just phenomenal. And it's not just that they did and accomplished; it was actually the process to doing.
No question.
The main thing.
It's not the one thing about bodybuilding and part of the whole process. It wasn't actually the physical aspect of it. It was actually the mental side, and it was probably 80% mental because of what you needed to do to get to that level. A lot of the physical stuff was pretty much everything that I've been doing up to that point. But it was just breaking down barriers. And that one experience helped me so much in my real estate world because it made me think so much differently. But at the same time, it took me out of my element. So instead of just focusing on the business side, I had something else that I could look forward to and strive for. And again, we talked about, family, but another key component is you got to really look out for yourself as well and take some time for yourself to do the things that you want and enjoy. And obviously real estate, again, is a vehicle. to doing the things that you want. So it should never be a goal. And part of that lesson was that lesson. So
right, and so really it was the putting yourself into the uncomfortableness, into doing the work of it, which into the challenge of it, which actually translated into preparing you for some of the ups and downs that you had within your investing.
Absolutely, because there are ups and downs in the bodybuilding world as well, significant ones, right? But again, it just teaches you what you need to do to be successful and to push and persevere through it, right?
Yeah, so it's all about the training and doing the work and going through the process.
No question.
So I got one final question at the end. I want to talk about, but before I do that, I wanted to just acknowledge. I'm just very grateful for a couple things. Number one is a deep and profound friendship.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful for how you show up every time in every encounter we've ever had, and I'm very grateful for how you interact with other people, and I see the servant's heart that you have, and how you help and want to support and give, and for you to come and do this interview is, you had to get in your car and had to come here to the studio, and just for you to just so freely and openly share, it just speaks volumes to who you are. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
So
so what would you offer for one final piece of inspiration? I know we talked about a lot, but if somebody is, feeling a little stuck right now, and they're just, can't get over the next hurdle, whatever that hurdle is. It could be $20 million capital raise. It could be the first 100,000. What would one piece of inspiration you'd offer?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. And I think the big piece, I'm going to go back to kind of all the years. You will get into obstacles. It will never stop. It will always, you'll get a roadblock, or you hit the ceiling, and then you need to break through the ceiling, and then there's another ceiling, and continue on and on. But I think the important part is, whatever it is you're trying to get through, take the time to take the time for knowledge and educate yourself. If or getting the support from individuals, and don't just sit there and wait, because time really is not in your favor in this game. And the sooner you get involved. So for those of you that are just getting started, get involved. If you don't have the knowledge, get the knowledge. If you don't have the experience, get the experience. If you are stuck in regards to the joint venturing side, again, it's the same thing. Get the support, get the help to overcome that. And there is going to be always challenges in this business or any business. But the reality is, it's how you overcome those things. And the biggest part, and the biggest piece that I can highly recommend, is get yourself educated first and foremost. And before you get started or any of those things, and if you're trying to raise capital, just don't do it on the whim. Take the time to learn about it, understand it, get the people to surround yourself with people of like mind to help provide you with that guidance and take you to the next level. There's going to be some tough days, and there's going to be some phenomenal days. So you want to be able to celebrate and also get that support that you need when you need it. And you can never have enough contacts or relationships in the business, be it mentors, be it realtors, be it property managers. You can never have enough relationships to help support you when the time is needed. So.
Well said. Well said. So one of the things I'm finding in all these interviews, they're turning into, we get so deep that we also determine that there's even more levels to keep going.
Oh, for sure. It never ends.
Are you open to having another conversation?
Absolutely. More than happy to.
More than happy. So guys, this is my good friend Mike Ponte here, and stay tuned. He'll be sharing lots coming forward, and we'll have another conversation upcoming. So Russell Westcott signing off, the hashtag JVJedi. Bye guys. Thanks, Mike. Whew. I knew Mike would deliver the goods. What an incredible conversation. I was sitting back there, and he's such a pro, and I just love having the conversation with Mike. I could have just turned the camera on him and just said, Mike, talk about joint ventures, and he just would have just went on, and everything would have just been 100% pure gold. But I hope you took down lots of notes. For example, how do you make money at real estate? If you have aspirations, or maybe you already are a full-time real estate entrepreneur, how do you make money along the way? How do you charge administration fees, acquisition fees, disposition fees? I love the way Mike shared about how he structured his business on the splits, on different things about how he puts his investment partners first. I love the way he articulated about qualification. So making sure that the most important part of the presentation, a lot of people think that it's all in the presentation, it's in the presentation slides. Actually, it's in the qualification. And he shocked me when he said that his presentation deck is one page. right? So that's where you know that you've done a good job of qualifying your people, and then you make a killer presentation to them. So can't thank Mike enough. He just absolutely delivered the goods. He has an incredible servant's heart, and he wants to help. So I've left the comment box open on this where you're watching the video. Drop a note in there. Thank Mike for his time and that he's part of the academy. Remember, what we're here to do is we're here to inspire you. We're here for you to take the next step. We're here to help you elevate your game, whether you're just getting started, whether you're in the accomplished phase or whether you're taking that to the 10x level and you're scaling. Something here for everybody. So sure hope you enjoy this. And if you're part of the modulars and you're diving through all the modular programs, keep going. There's the next lesson just waiting for you, and we keep building this out. I'm loving the momentum that's happening in the academy, and it's all because of you watching it, you implementing it, you taking the action. So I cannot thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. Keep going. You got this. All right. Talk to you very soon. Bye for now. Remember, Russell Westcott, #JVJedi. Bye for now.